Now, so we'll look at some types of production systems very quickly. And if you look at the diagram we have here, we have what we call the job shop production, we have the batch production, we have mass production, and the continuous production. Now we're going to look at certain characteristics, and you'll see that the characteristics become, the less flexible as we move up the ladder. For instance, if we're moving from up the ladder, I mean from job shop to batch to mass production and continuous production, you'll see these. So we're going to look at the other ones. I'm pretty sure we'll only look at the job shop in this session, and then in the subsequent sessions we'll see the other ones. Now, a typical job shop production is just characterized by manufacturing of one or few, quantity of products designed per the specification of the customer. So if you really look at a certain production system that is typical or typically does, let's say, customized production. The example I love to always give, which I'm pretty sure we would all be familiar with, is the case of a seamstress or a designer. Just a simple environment, and everything that you produce is subject to the customer specification. The customer comes with a different color or wants a different material, wants a different style, and so day in, day out, you produce typical stuff to suit specific customer requirements. Now, some of the characteristics here, we say there's high variety of products and low volume. Now, typical job shop environments, we don't produce in large volumes because items are not really, they're not standardized at all. It's not like you're sewing a school uniform for 1,000 kids and you can just sew the same size or some sizes. Every customer comes with a different size, with a different style, with a different specification, and so there's high levels of variety and there's low volumes. And that's what happens when it comes to customizing items. Now, there's the use of general purpose machines and facilities. Because of the high levels of variety and specifications, you can have a standardized machine system or machines available. You need those machines that can fit into any kind of specification that you can easily alter to suit whatever specification that customers actually want. And we also need highly specified, so highly skilled operators who can take up jobs like these. Very skilled people. Someone comes with a very complicated design, you really need that high acumen to work out those kind of designs or those kind of specifications. So you do not just take anyone to operate in job shop environments. Now, there's large inventory of materials and tools and parts. Now, you need a lot of materials available because you cannot just tell with exactly what someone is going to require. Specifications vary, requirements always vary. Every customer comes with a new set of specifications, so you need an array of inventory or materials available. And it has its advantages, and we'll also see if it has its limitations as well. Now, there's also the need for detailed planning in essential for sequencing and requirements for each product. Now, like we said, there's high level of variety, and so each specification or each order comes with a different specification, and this means that you will need different plans or detailed outline for each order, and this makes it very unique. And so these are not the only characteristics for job shop production. There are quite a number of them. I'm pretty sure you look up for them, you'll find quite a number. So we would look at some of the advantages here. Now, job shop, kind of interesting stuff. Because of the general purpose machines and facilities, a variety of products can be produced, and that is obvious because we said there's high levels of variety and what's it called? Different specifications. Now, operators will become more skilled and competent as each job gives a learning opportunity. Yes, and it's obvious. Every day you have a new challenge. Every customer comes with a different design or different specification, and you keep doing new things, and reduces boredom. You increase your competency. But you keep doing the same thing over and over again, it becomes quite monotonous, and you're not open to newer ideas. I'm not saying that's the case all the time anyway, but now there's also the full potential of operators being utilized. Yeah, some specifications or some orders can really stretch the operator, or can, and it moves you to go beyond your abilities, and that's making sure you're able to use your full potentials. So there are some limitations with the job shop production system. It's higher cost due to frequent setup changes. Now, because of the high levels of variety, one setup may not necessarily suit for another one, so that will result into changing the setup and the frequent changes. And then there's high level of inventory at all levels, and hence higher inventory cost. Yeah, because you would need to keep an array of materials and machines, and just to meet the varied demand that will be coming. And so you're going to have high levels of inventory, and once you have high inventories, you're going to have high inventory costs. And then production planning is complicated. Like we said, there's detail, so much detail goes into the planning process, so you would have to, it's a unique plan for every order. You can have one plan to suit all, and so it's really complicated. But complicated, I think complicated in the good sense. Anyway. And then so there's also larger space required. You need a lot of space for your inventory, and that is enough reason to get enough space. Well, these are some limitations. There are others we can also find around in literature. Okay. So we'll look at one other one we call the batch production, where production is actually done in groups or lot sizes. But for definition purposes, we say it is a form of manufacturing in which the job passes through the functional departments in lots or batches, and each lot may have a different routing. You see, so we don't produce just one item, but they're produced in groups. So lot sizes, you can produce in groups of hundreds, in 200s, probably in thousands, depending on the size. Now, so it's a way of creating items in bulk quantities, not really huge quantities anyway. But here we also say that general purpose equipment and methods are commonly used because although we are producing in batches. There are there's some level of variety. One batch may vary from another. The only difference is that, well, if you're producing, let's say, a batch of 100, all the 100 items in one batch will have similar characteristics. But if there's another batch coming that will have a different specification, then we may need to augment our production. Now, so the characteristics here would include the batch system. We say when we have shorter production runs, typically we would use this we want to produce in some large quantities, and production runs are shorter. When we make production runs, the time taken to produce, relatively shorter. We would want to use the batch kind of production. Unlike when you have very large quantities and you need to produce in mass production, then production runs are quite long. And also we say when the plant and machinery are flexible, there should be some amount of flexibility. We've said earlier that it is possible that one batch will not have the same specifications as the next batch. And so there need to be some element, some level of or degree of flexibility where we can alter our designs or alter machinery to suit varying specifications. And also when manufacturing lead time and cost are lower compared to the job order production. Yeah. So here you would notice that when we consider the job shop production, there is huge room for flexibility. But the amount of flexibility we have under batch production compared to job shop is quite limited. If I'm producing 100 items, I can which is one batch, then all the batch or items in that batch would share similar characteristics or specifications. But if it were in the case of a job shop, I can produce 100 items and they would all have very different levels of variety. Now, some advantages of the batch production is that there's better utilization of plant and machinery. It promotes functional specialization because we're producing in batches and maybe all the items in that batch would have similar specifications. We can produce the production could be done in workstations. So one thing is done at one point, and that encourages specialization, and specialization improves culminates into efficiency. Now, cost per unit is also lower compared to the job order. Yeah, of course, we are producing in quantities relatively higher than what we saw in the job shop production, and so your average cost of production would be lesser. The larger the quantity, the lesser the cost. Basic economic principles. Now, there's also lower investment in plant and machinery. Yeah, because once you have one general purpose machine, it's possible we can produce all the items in the batch, unlike the case of a job shop where probably you may need an array of machinery, because every specification comes with a unique design process, which may require some unique machinery. Now, flexibility to accommodate process and other number of products, like we said, but it's not as compared to the case of the job shop. Now, some limitations here will be material handling is complex because of the irregular and longer flows. Now, some batches could have shorter run times, others could have relatively longer run times, and you may need to juggle in between whatever variations that would occur in the specifications or in the orders that the organization would have. And then production planning and control is complex. It's understandable. You're not planning for just one item. You're planning for a number of items and series. So you really need to consider some robust production or some planning system that would make sure there is high efficiency in the entire batch production. There's high reliability for the product and all that. There's also higher setup costs due to frequent changes in setup. Yes, and it's true. If you have a certain setup to produce a certain batch and then a new specification is needed for another batch, you may need to, or in fact you would have to change the setup. And whenever you need to reorient your setup, it comes at a cost. And so these are some limitations of a batch production. Possibly there are other ones as well, quite a number of them. You can find them online or in the book I have suggested for you. So we would end this lesson here. I hope this session was successful, and just keep reading and you'll be fine. Thank you.